So in this case, my top view looks like a rectangle. So my job is to figure out what the object can be, and then to create a front and a side view for that. So obviously, this is the width, and that's my only constraint. Okay, so I think this object is a rectangular box. So it's this wide, it's this tall, it's this deep, and what I want to do is I want to make sure that this is possible. We want to make sure that the three views here actually stitch together into an object. So that's why the isometric paper is there. So at some point, give yourself a start. And then figure out where you want your depth. Figure out your width. Figure out your height. And just make sure that whatever you have here is something that happens over here. My front view is a rectangle. My front view is a rectangle. My top view is a rectangle, so my top view is a rectangle. My right side view is a rectangle, and I see my rectangle. No extra edges, no extra lines, no necessary hidden lines. It just is what it is, and there you have it. So your job is to try to visualize something. Try to visualize something that's not a rectangular prism, because I just showed you how to do that. You can't steal mine. But let's see if we can go through and how many solutions could you come up for the object when the only thing that we have is a top view that looks like this. You'll have 2, 3 views, isometric, and then don't let that stop you. If you have other ideas, by all means, down the bottom, show me. This one requires a little bit more visualization power, because now we have not just a rectangle, we have an object line. And that object line means something has to come to a step or a crease or a point or something. So we need to figure out what it is. So I'll work with what I've got. I'll work with the corners I have. And then over here, I'll visualize something. And then I'll bring that to the side view. I'll go over and down. I think it looks like an L-shaped block. Is that possible though? Is the line work that I put over here in my multi-view something that's really possible in 3D? Well, let's check it. Height, depth, width. And in the front, it looks like the letter L. So is what I drew possible? The answer is yes. I see the L-shape front view here, 2 rectangles in the top there, 2 rectangles in the side there. So this solution is a good solution. It works. All I had for information, what does it look like from the top? And this is not fancy, but you know what? It doesn't have to be fancy, as long as our top view doesn't change and we're not adding more edges, as long as we're not adding extra lines or hidden lines or things that aren't there. So I'm happy with the solution. Your job is to do the same thing. What is it? Now you can't use mine. I've already used that, right? But there's a million other things this could be. So why don't you try to visualize, imagine something this can be when we have that edge right there. What is the edge doing? Is it a drop off like here? Is it a corner where a slope begins? Is it a corner where an arc begins? There's just so many possibilities here. Okay, so you'll do the top two. And then if you have any other ideas, by all means, include them down the bottom. What is it? Well, this time we have hidden lines. We have an element of hidden lines. So whatever we visualize, whatever we imagine, has got to include two hidden edges in the top view. So that might mean you're going to have to do things in the front view to create hidden edges in the top view. And of course, if you create things in the front view that cause hidden edges in the top view, they might also create hidden edges in the side view. Now, when everything is done and you've got an idea, go back here and test it. This is your testing area. Does this really work? And if it works, great. And if it doesn't, back to the drawing board, right? But you can start by bringing down the elements you have and working with them as you try to come up with a solution for what this could be. When you're done, you'll have the top and bottom ones visualized. And then if you have other great ideas, by all means, include them down the bottom. So what is it? Well, this one is a little bit more difficult, and it's because instead of only having one view to work with, you have two views. And now when you have two views, you are locked in. There are way fewer possibilities now than there were before. So whatever we do has got to make sure it doesn't change the existing top or right side. Whatever is in the front can't add to or take away from what's already there. And then when it's figured out to the best of your ability, go back and check it in isometric to make sure it's something that really works. If it doesn't work in isometric, it won't work in real life. Okay, so we all have two solutions for this one, and then any other ideas you have, please include down the bottom. The more you visualize, the more you're developing your ability to see things that aren't there and to understand the relationship of lines and edges and hidden lines and faces and holes and circles.